Hi, I'm James from Soaring, and this is my friend.
Patrick, as always.
How you doing today? So today I was talking with a woman who's in education, and we were talking about recess, and we were talking about like you can't have a bat on the yard, you can't have a lacrosse stick, you can't have a hockey stick. If you're playing any kind of sport, soccer, football, it has to all be on non-contact. Uh, it's just if they fell down, they come inside and get ice right away. If they have like a small scratch, they got to get a big band-aid to cover it up. And so we were talking about the concept of like we're really teaching our kids not how to problem solve. We're not teaching them how to deal with adversity at all. Like all we're doing is constantly making sure that they never face any problems. And I think that's going to be a problem in the future. Like already we're seeing it. Like in if you look at our teenagers and stuff, their problem solving skills are, I feel, and
Yeah.
are a little bit lacking. That whereas you and I, when we see a problem, we solve it, we deal with it, and we move on.
Right.
But I think like when I was a kid, for example, we would play full contact football. We would play hockey over at the church in the parking lot. Father would come out and he'd play with us, and you'd slam someone into the parked car, and you'd laugh it off, and you move forward, and you just kept on going. Or you play football, and you have two guys take you down, and sure it hurt, but you got up, and then you laughed, and you slapped each other, and you called each other bad names, and you move forward, and this was all at recess. This was all play, and no one ran to a teacher. No one was like, Mrs. Hurd, he did this to me. Like it was just, you dealt with it.
Right.
And I really think that this is going to be a problem moving forward. The more and more we stop our children from participating in adversity, the less and less and less when they face adversity that they will have the utilities and the skills to overcome it.
Right. Well, I for one didn't grow up in Brooklyn like apparently you did, but Harlem, maybe South Side, something like
Maybe.
that. Were you one of the Jets, or how did that work exactly?
I was a shark.
You were
Yeah.
a shark. There you go. Right.
Yeah.
No, but I agree totally. So, in these situations, again, as two parents, as two fathers, and maybe that's a bit of where this comes from, and we're taking this from a guy's perspective, and we're a little less nurturing. But I think that the situation is like I remember running the streets at night where it was, you're out until the light comes on, you come back in, you're beaten up, you've kind of an example of falling off a bike, running around, playing football, that kind of deal. Uh, but yeah, they don't do it anymore.
No.
So I grew up playing decent football growing up. I played hockey, lacrosse. I was a pretty good athlete. Uh, Now the kids, it's like mom gets out and warms up the van, and if the van's like the hockey bags have got wheels on them now. Like there was a deal, like at Adam, I think you're about 10 years old, 9, 10 years old. If you're not carrying your own hockey bag, don't bother coming to the rink. Well,
Right.
now all the bags have wheels, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember they came up with a device and it was a hook for tying up skates. And kids were pulling them out because they didn't have finger strength enough to get their skates tight enough. But it's
I
like that's
remember that.
ingenuity. That's
Yeah.
ingenuity. Somebody came along and was like, yeah, these kids, because they're forced to do these skates
Yeah.
instead of having 19 dads sitting in there going like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." That those arms look pretty good, eh?
Yeah,
Hey,
they look
not
great.
bad. Yeah. But no, I do. I think, and that's the struggle, right? Is that how do you prepare your children? Yet how do you shelter them from the dangerous parts of the world, but also allow them to fail up, right?
Right.
And I think that's the dichotomy of parenting in the 21st century, right?
Hmm.
So, when you were talking about today, you were talking about, playing on the fields at school. And school to me is a reflection of parenting, is that they've reacted to, the crazy Karen parent that when somebody was out there with a hockey stick or a baseball bat or something like that, and someone accidentally got hit in the shin when somebody threw the bat behind the plate, and, Mama Karen lost it. Right? Why are
Hmm.
they out there? Why did they have it? And the school has to always play to the lowest common denominator. They've got to be concerned about that one parent. And that's where I think we've got to get back to the old adage of don't let your kid play that. If you want
Yeah.
your kid to go over there and sit on the bench, he can go over and sit on the bench. But the 99th percentile is going
Right.
to play and enjoy themselves, and they're going to get a bruise, and they're going to react, and they're going to live.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the hard part.
I totally agree. That's just it. They're going to get hurt. They're going to
Right.
get a bruise. They're going to, like, we can allow our children to play, and we can allow them to play rough to a certain level so they can learn like conflict resolution. Like, we try to stop them from even having a fight,
Right.
like a verbal, we jump right in and we try to solve these verbal domestics that they're having. No, they should be working through it themselves.
Yeah.
Unless it comes to a point where they can't work it out, we shouldn't be getting involved.
Right.
We should be
Well, what
letting
does
them
that
do it.
teach? What does that teach? So again, you're yourself as an educator, you're in a position where you're seeing this on a daily basis. When you don't allow that problem solving, okay, so problem solving in kindergarten is an argument over a red crayon.
Right.
Then when you get to grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, the seriousness escalates a little bit. It's over a soccer ball. It's over a a friend.
Sometimes it's
even.
over social media now, actually.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? But now when you get to, 16, 17, 18, 19, it's over a car, it's over a boyfriend, it's over some big, real, tangible things that can end you up in a real problem, right?
Right.
If you end up taking somebody's crayon in kindergarten, it's not a big deal. You end
No.
up having, that conflict where you end up taking somebody's car. That's a big
Yeah.
problem. You just
Yeah.
cross the line in a big way because you don't understand conflict resolution, right?
That's right. Yeah. Or you don't know how to deal with it. Like something small, like, I don't know, like you lose your keys, for example. I don't know why that example came into my head. But
We
you
only
lose
knew
your
a guy.
but you lose your keys, for example. That can turn and spiral into a really, really bad thing.
Right.
If you don't have that conflict resolution and you don't know how to solve those problems, it can turn into a self-defeating prophecy where you start. I think that's why we're having a lot of the mental health problems, because people jump right to I'm anxious, right to I'm sad, right to I'm upset. Like, I don't like, we have so many people who are self-diagnosed as suffering from anxiety right now,
Right.
that I just don't think they are. I think it's more about problem solving. I think it's more about knowing how to deal with conflict.
Right.
Because if you know how to deal with conflict, then it's not going to affect you so that you start thinking, woe is me, my life sucks.
100%.
That spiral that you fall into.
Right.
And if you have that conflict resolution, you can get out of it, and you can see the light across the tunnel, and you can make your life better. Because as soon as you start making one thing better, and I talk about this all the time in my short clips, as soon as you take that first step to make one thing better, it's dominoes. It's just bam, 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 bam. Everything starts getting better. It's an attitude. But if back in the crayon situation, if you as an educator notice that two kids are fighting over a crayon, and as soon as it starts, you jump in and go, stop. We don't fight over crayons. That's it.
Right.
They're not learning how to solve anything.
No.
They're just learning.
Now, what happens 25 years down the road when that child is married?
Right.
And you're having a domestic tiff that, the word domestic doesn't mean that it has to be, physical violence and someone's getting arrested, but these are just everyday conversations. But if you can't problem solve, and if you can't work together as a team, as a unified entity with red crayon, or the mortgage payment, or the car, or where do we go? How are we setting people up for success here? So,
well, I think Jordan Peterson said it like really well when he was doing one of his talks that I watched. He was saying that winning an argument in a marriage, a relationship, is not about being right. It's about finding a solution that both of you are happy with. Because who wants to be with someone who wins, who makes you feel less than? Who wants to be with that person that can conflict resolution, so you come up with an agreement together that you're both benefit from? It's just a different mindset. And I just thought it was very enlightening the way
100%.
he said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and again, you should take some marriage advice from two single guys here. #bachelor. You know what I'm talking about?
Bachelor.
Maybe something coming. Yeah. But no, again, I think it's a great conversation.
Yeah.
I think that we are setting these kids up for failure long term. And we've
yeah.
got to do better. And we've got to do better at home. We've got to do better in the school. We've got to do better in our community. So,
and we got to stop trying to protect everyone from everything. We got to stop making everything uh, everyone gets a participation ribbon. Everyone is on an equal playing field, because we're
Right.
not. I am not in an equal playing field with you.
No.
If we were both to go start buying stocks, you'd clean my clock. But if we were both
He's
start,
slowly learning. He's
I'm slowly learning. But
Yeah,
if we were
slowly.
both walking into a room where there was someone agitated or angry who had mental health, I'm the man,
You're the
right?
guy.
I'm the guy who would do it. I'm the guy who would solve it.
Yep.
It's just you play to your strengths, and that's
Yep.
how you succeed. But to think that everyone needs to be on the same platform, impossible. Can't
Right.
do it.
100%. I think that goes to a lot of our conversations when I talk about equity and equality, right?
Right.
Is that, we keep trying to do equal, everyone's equal,
Right.
everyone's equal. And I feel like the equitable solution to that is that everyone has a jumping off point. It doesn't have to be the same, but everyone has a jumping off point. And we've talked
Right.
about this before in our father conversation, is that
Mhm.
I'm trying to build a jumping off point that my daughter just needs to take a step off, right?
Right.
You're trying to do the same thing for your children. The problem is that if society is trying to pull those away and saying certain things that she should do X, Y, and Z, it's my job to combat that. If I don't agree
Right.
with that, if I don't agree with TikTok after 9 o'clock when it's all scantily clad individuals and the thing, she doesn't have it. I'm
Right.
saying no. I don't care about being popular. I don't
No.
need to be her best friend in those situations, but I'm going to do the things that are right. And
Yes.
those are important things for me. So I've had
Mhm.
lots of these conversations over the years with my daughter, and right, wrong, or indifferent, there's days where she's like, oh, come on, like, get with it, old man. And I'm totally okay with that, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, she's succeeding, she's doing well, she's an A
Mhm.
student, competitive gymnast. Before I had to pick
Right.
this guy up from a train
That's true.
because of his key problem, she was up
Key
competing
problem.
and doing
Yep.
fantastic.
And
She's got some
she made the podium and everything. It
right.
was great.
So
Yeah.
she got some hardware
Yeah.
to walk away with.
And
So
it's an important thing to say. Like, we are called fathers for a reason. We're not called friends. If we were called friends, we would treat them differently.
you
I
got
am
it,
their
pal.
father. They
Right.
come to me for advice. They come to me for, sometimes I have to redirect them and send them in the right way. Now, fortunately, mine are older, so we're more on a kind of friendship level. We come more as equals, but they still come to me for
Well, you were
advice.
saying tonight both of them were out flying all around the world
They're
today.
both flying all over the world. I have both my babies up in the air at the same time. A little
Crazy.
nerve shattering for me, but they both landed safely and they're doing well. And
Yeah, in two
but
different
yeah,
parts
no,
of the
that's
world.
the
It's
whole
not
thing.
like they were on like a family vacation. They were off
Oh
jet
God,
setting
no.
around individually. So
They're going in opposite directions just for fun. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fantastic.
But yeah, no. So, but I think that's important. I just think it's important that we allow our kids to try things, to have adversity, and stop jumping in every time something happens. Allow them to
Absolutely.
have a problem.
Yep.
But that's how I feel about it anyway. And recess is no different.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely, pal. Well, as always, folks, again, thanks for checking in with us. Like, subscribe, and share. And again, as always, James and Patrick from Soaring Profits. We'll see you real soon. Hopefully, we can make some money together, folks. Take care. Thank you. Hey, folks. Thanks again for joining us at Soaring Profits. Patrick and James, please like, subscribe, and share.
And follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. And let's start a dinner table discussion right on this page right here. Let's start talking about the topics that we're talking about today.
Thanks again, folks. Appreciate it.